So tonight was a really big episode. The hometown dates are something I always look forward to because I feel like you get to know a lot about a person by meeting the people in their lives that they're closest to, especially like family, friends.
Or not closest to.
Yeah, or not closest to, exactly. So just now, based on like what we've witnessed, which hometown do you feel like went the best?
Oh, I think Eric's actually went the best.
No, I would definitely say Eric's went the best.
Such
Hands
good
down.
energy. But I also feel like Peter's went pretty well in general. Don't you guys think?
You know what? I just feel like that was the first time where I was like, wait a second, this dude's not ready to propose at all.
But like only according to his family. Like I thought he seemed ready, and then all of a sudden the mom was like,
sitting with his friends. His friends, he was like, so wait, you guys, when do I know? And they're like, you probably know when the person's right?
I don't know. I just love the fact that she said, I'm not trying to have a boyfriend at the end of this.
I do too.
I'm trying to have a fiance because I feel like she's one of those people, and we don't always see this on the show, that's like, knows what she wants.
Yeah.
And
but
I love that
I
about
have
her.
to chime in and say, like, what if one guy that you really, really liked, like, wasn't quite ready to get married, but then the other one that you kind of like was super ready?
This is a fantastic
do you pick
question.
the super ready one, or do you wait for the one that like would have been better and you just need to give him another couple months?
I hate that.
because you only hung out for like 3 weeks.
I know. I hate that I'm going to say this, but I feel like during my season, the Chris Soul season, I think he picked the person who was ready to get married at the moment and not the person he was truly in love with. Which I think he was truly in love with Becca, but Becca was really open with him and said, hey, I'm not going to get engaged at the end of this. I'm just not ready for this. I haven't even had a real boyfriend yet. And then he was like, okay, I'm going to go with the logic here. And the logic is that Whitney would like be ready to move and marry me now.
But then logically, you're not going to...
It's so hard, you guys. It's so hard. But let's talk about the first hometown that we saw. It was Eric, who we loved. And I think we actually have a clip to show you guys, some B-roll here. Look at this. I mean, they're walking into the house. They're clapping. They're dancing.
I loved it when they all danced together.
Oh my gosh. It's just like, it's such a stressful environment to walk into. And I love that Rachel, who's always so strong, before every hometown, she's like, I'm nervous.
Yeah.
Talk about the most like adaptable, like any situation she has gone into, she just is great.
She really has.
It is amazing.
Yeah, I know. I wish I could be like her.
I would be so uncomfortable.
And she has this quality that I think is so special where she's able to make everyone she's around feel special and like she hears them, because some of these conversations are not easy. We actually had Chase on the show last week, and he told us that when his family was getting ready for his hometown date, they had zero communication with him until he walked in the door, and like people come to your house a little bit ahead of time and like add extra plants and like decorate it a little bit and kind of pick and choose.
Staging a real estate house.
No, literally. But when he walked through the doors, that was the first time he'd seen his parents. So I would be anxious too.
6-7 weeks.
Yeah. It's unbelievable.
Isn't it weird that they arrange everything for you and then you just pop into your house and you haven't spoken to them for 7 weeks? I would be
But
so
I like
weird.
that it's like that
so
because
authentic,
with so many reality shows, they film the entrances like 8 times. So
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well-
I've done one other and I was just like, this is not The Bachelor. This is stage. They called me like, oh, what did they say? I did Millionaire Matchmaker.
Oh, Patty
and she just kept saying, she's Bachelor robot. She's just like, we don't do this on The Bachelor, we don't do this on The Bachelor. I'm like, yeah, we don't like fake things on The Bachelor.
Which is so good to hear.
Which is nice to hear.
Yeah.
Well, that was not the only hometown, you guys. The second hometown was Brian. And as we know, these two have had like hot chemistry since the onset. So I've definitely started looking at him as a major contender. But before we jump to all of that, we have a clip of a little portion of what went down with Rachel and Brian's mom when they had their heart-to-heart. Just take a sneaky peeky.
Brian is very close to us. I don't know if you know, but he's very, very close to us.
I like that.
Okay, Brian is my life. You are married, the family too.
I want the same thing. Like, I would want him to marry into my family, too.
If a woman wants to take the husband from the family, she can do it. Because some women want the only for themselves.
No.
And of course, if he's happy, I'm happy. If not, I'll kill you.
I don't know if she was kidding. She wasn't
kidding. She didn't say the smile or any sarcasm or anything.
Like, thank God Rachel has a very contagious laugh afterwards, because otherwise, no.
I would be freaked the F out. And the whole entire time, by the way, I felt like you know, we talked about this. Like Rachel was like, yeah, that's important to me too, and the mom's like, no. But it's like really.
You don't get what I'm saying.
And Rachel's like, no, but like, I want him to be a part of my family too. And she's like,
but I'll kill you.
But
I will
really
kill
our
you.
family.
I will murder you. You don't understand.
I feel like her accent makes her a little more intimidating.
She's so
I don't even know.
menacing.
I'm so bad at accents. Do you guys feel though that in this situation, and you having like gone through this like to a certain degree, should the family be an absolute deal breaker?
I don't know. I think it depends on how close you are to your family.
Yeah.
And whether I was the Bachelorette, would it be a deal breaker? I don't know. I'm sure the family would be so much different off camera that you can't really judge them on camera. Because, you know, during Ben's season, I'm just going to keep throwing it back.
Yeah.
Like, JoJo's brothers were so difficult.
They were rough.
And he did say, like, there was maybe he left with a little bit, like, of a bad taste in his mouth. And he's like, all right, well, I'm not going to not marry this girl because of it, but it's something I'm going to remember when making my decision.
Exactly.
It seems hard because, one, it depends on how close you are, like how often they're actually interacting.
Like if you live in the
if, like,
same
they're
town
a really
or
awful
whatever.
family, but you're only seeing them like once a year on Christmas, like suck it
Well,
up.
that's the thing with Dean. It's like, well, he's not close to them at all, so it's not like they're going to be a big factor in your guys' life together.
100%. For me, I think it's
100%.
more of like if they have a great family,
That's
like
an extra
that's
plus.
a plus.
Yeah.
But like if not, like people, you don't choose your family.
Right.
You can't really.
Exactly. And you can't like blame them for, you know, whatever dynamic they have going on. And honestly, like just major kudos and props to all of these people for just opening themselves up so candidly. I felt like all the guys tonight were super open with their families and their friends. And I think that's a challenge in and of itself. So kudos to all you guys. The third hometown was Peter's, and as our sweet producer Jill, who hails from Chicago, said they were just some nice Midwestern folks. Did I get that right, Jill? Okay. So good. They seemed lovely. What did you guys think about Peter's hometown? You look like you're going to die.
Sorry, I melted down into the couch a little
because
bit
of Peter.
because I'm in love with Peter.
Hey, girl.
He might not be ready to marry Rachel, but I'm ready for him to marry me.
What did you think about the hometown with Peter?
I think like the conversation with the friends is a little bit of a red flag, and I think the red flag continued a little bit when he got home and just said he just obviously doesn't want to get proposed. He just doesn't want to propose at the end of this.
I have to chime in and say I didn't listen to anything that they said. I was just busy like staring.
Yeah, he is very handsome. And the one thing he did mention is that he is aware that the other guys have either said they love her or they've said
so
they're
not
falling
ready.
in love with her. And he knows he hasn't done that. So the fact that he is still sticking around is pretty impressive, in my opinion.
Not have him stick around.
He is so easy on the eyes. So
Well, he just seems like a great overall package.
he's a good
He
person.
does seem like a really good package. My only thing is like I don't know if he'd be like fun and goofy enough for me to be
See,
into.
I've
she
noticed a
thinks he
few
is
times.
fun and goofy,
Like
but
we
I
talked
really-
about
It does
pooping.
the poop thing. We like got to see that a little bit at the end of
More
last
poop.
week's
We need
episode.
more
We want that
poop.
too. That made me feel hopeful for his relationship with me in the
I don't
future.
know. I don't know if I want him talking about poop that much, but like, no, you were saying that you even think he might be goofier, but they don't necessarily always show it in the edit.
I can tell you
because
one
he is
little
like the hard.
inside scoop.
What do you know?
I know that Peter and Brian didn't get along very well, and that's all I'm going to say.
Sounds
But-
like a love triangle.
I'd also like to say though, good for them for hiding it because you wouldn't guess that from
The
any of
only
the
thing
episodes.
that really pisses me off about that is that if it was two women who were fighting over a man,
They'd
they
show it.
sure as hell would show it
Yeah.
every single 5 seconds on
Yeah.
the
That's
true.
show.
That is true.
Because it's fun to watch girls fight, apparently.
That is
Tune
true.
in next season of The Bachelor.
Yeah.
Okay, the
Guys, it makes them seem immature, and they want the two of them to look the most mature.
It's true.
We
Girls, when girls fight, you're like, ooh, what's gonna happen next?
Yeah.
When guys fight, you're like, come on.
Yeah,
Like,
grow up.
Let's talk about the final hometown, Dean. We were sitting here in the studio watching this episode just moments ago, and I literally almost started crying
lot of
multiple
emotions.
times. If you didn't love him already before this hometown, just like what he's been through and the way his sister spoke about him and the fact that he was willing to like have those hard talks with his dad in front of the world, it just makes me love him even more, and my little heart is breaking for
I love him.
What did you think?
When I saw that episode,
Yeah.
I actually saw that episode 2 weeks ago, and I've watched
so
Inside.
cool.
I've watched it a couple times, and it makes me feel so many feelings that I had to watch it multiple times.
Yeah.
Because I just loved the way it portrayed his soul. And I felt like also what you just did, like this was me watching it. So I was like screaming things like, he's everything.
I felt so uncomfortable for him because it seemed like he was just in like a combination of embarrassed, uncomfortable, like,
but also strong
sad,
and
but then
brave.
also and it was just all together, and it was just like, oh, he's trying so hard.
I know, and I thought he really articulated himself very nicely given the circumstance. Like, it's
Like that
so
he's
highly
chill at the end
emotional.
of the whole situation. He had told his dad he loved him, and he had put himself out there and seen his dad for the first time in 2 years, who's, you know, remarried to someone else, and that's hard. Like when you've lost your
He definitely
parent.
confronted the situation, and then it didn't necessarily go that well, but he still was able to like keep
he kept
scenario
himself
light,
together. And my theory is that he probably, whenever he does talk to his dad, he's probably like, oh, let's just get like this conversation over with and then we'll move on. Like, I won't talk to him for a couple more months. I feel like the show definitely was like, no, you haven't gotten these questions answered. Like, it's time for you to do it. And as hard as that must have been, like, he really did it well.
I think so too, and I hope that, you know, even though, spoiler alert, he's not walking away with a fiance at the end of the season, I feel like hopefully he's walking away with some level of like, maybe not closure, but just like moving forward with his relationship with his family. So, Dean, we're your biggest fans. Also, I'm just saying, 2 people on this couch are single over here, beautiful, and willing to mingle. So come on by. What are you waiting for?
We'll definitely have him come by soon. Promise.
Oh, great, girl. Yeah. Make it happen. I would love that. If you're as obsessed with The Bachelorette as we obviously are, click that box over on the left to get more of our show. And hey, if that's still not enough, click the box over on the right because there is more Bachelor Nation goodness.